vibes. And it goes a little something like this. Edward spoke in a voice so peaceful and gentle that it made the words strangely more threatening. I'm not going to kill you now, because it would upset Bella. Humph, I grumbled. Edward turned slightly to throw me a quick smile. His face was still calm. It would bother you in the morning, he said, brushing his fingers across my cheek. Then he turned back to Jacob. But if you ever bring her back damaged again, and I don't care whose fault it is, I don't care if she merely trips, or if a meteor falls out of the sky and hits her in the head, if you return her to me in less than the perfect condition that I left her in, you will be running with 3 legs. Do you understand that, mongrel?
Laying down
oh no!
the truth.
A fall! He is laying down the truth, and
What is happening? Was it always like this?
No, it must have been Meowboy. I don't know. I have this other one. Let me record this other one too, and then if we, by the end of the chapter, because they're both different vibes. Like, this is from a Bella angry vibe, and the other one was from an Edward angry vibe. So I'm going to read this one real fast here. Finally, he let go of my face and leaned away. Are you done now? I asked in an expressionless voice. Yes, he sighed. He started to smile, closing his eyes. I pulled my arm back and then let it snap forward, punching him in the mouth with as much power as I could force out of my body. That's it. Hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
I'm Marin.
I'm Emily.
And you are listening to
Remember Twilight! But Eclipse, really, and chapter 15 of Eclipse, specifically, Wager.
So last week, we had kind of a little chill chapter. It was Wednesday, it was Thursday, they were hanging out, doing homework, taking finals, talking to Renee, going to Jacob's house. And at the end of the chapter, Jacob was like, I love you. I've always loved you. You gotta know how much I love you. And now, chapter 15.
Where we scream.
The whole time.
The entire time.
Guys, I mean, I can't even tell you. So I got this text from Emily where she took a picture of this one page, and I was like, oh man, that's funny. And so I took a picture of mine. We did exactly the same thing. We just wrote a big no and screaming and crossing out of paragraphs.
Lots of crossing out. I crossed out a whole entire page in this chapter because I just couldn't deal with it. I had spent like an entire day doing notes on the previous 2 chapters, and then I got to this one and I was like, nope, I'm going highlighter straight to the page. Scream.
This chapter is more than any other part of any of the series of the Twilight books or movies. This chapter, as we will see in the next however long it takes us to finish screaming about this, is and should always be your touchstone of why it is not even a thing to be Team Jacob.
It isn't and should never have been a thing.
Never. It's not a thing. It doesn't exist anymore. So, all right, let's go.
Perfect. Trigger warning from the top. This chapter covers a very hard to read, and I'm sure it'll be hard to talk about, form of sexual assault in which it happens, and also there is pleasure taken from it and jokes made about it after. So if that is something that is going to bother you to listen to, you can feel free to go ahead and skip this entire episode.
Yeah,
we'll catch
absolutely.
you next week.
No problem with that at all. Another thing that I will just add to that is that the jokes that are made about this sexual assault are not made by Emily and me. They are made by Bella's father. So if that adds another layer of discomfort to you, which I completely understand, we'll see you next week. Love you. Love you so much. All right, we're going to get started now.
Okay, so Jacob has just confessed his love, and Bella was standing there, arms folded, feet planted, annoyed already, and she just stares at him because she has no response to this because they've already talked about it, and she's already expressed how she feels about it.
Yeah.
And there's nothing more to say.
She already knows. Everyone knows. he didn't need to declare his love. It's fine, whatever. But she's just staring at him.
Mm-hmm. And he's like, okay, haha, that's all. And she's like, Jake, I have to go. Like, she's
Right.
doesn't want to have this conversation because it's not going to go anywhere and nothing is going to happen from it.
No, and having to go is a perfect response to being told out of the blue that your best friend is in love with you, even though you are clearly and loudly in love with somebody else and never going to be with him. And it's fine. It's fine for him to tell you. It really is. It's fine for him to be like, I love you. And it's fine for you to say, okay, bye.
Yeah. And
It
that
really
should
is.
be the end of the conversation.
That is the end.
But instead, as Bella turns to literally leave, he grabs her shoulder, spins her back around to look at him, and wants to argue about it. And he says, I know, Bella, but look, answer me this, all right? Do you want me to go away and never see you again? Be honest.
What the fuck kind of manipulative nonsense is this?
Yeah.
No, I mean, I know it's hard, but she isn't ghosting him. She isn't stringing him along. He needs to accept and leave.
Yeah.
I put accept or leave, but the only thing he needs to do right now is leave and let her go home.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only answer he needs to give. But instead, he's like, no. Oh, he's like, she goes, no, I don't want that. I don't want you to leave and never see you again.
Yeah, you're my friend.
Right, and then he goes, see? No, just because she doesn't want you gone doesn't mean she wants to be with you.
Yeah. Those are not mutually exclusive things. And she explains to him, I don't want you around for the same reason that you want me around. And he's like, well, then why do you want me around?
Oh my gosh.
And she's like, I miss you when you're not there, when you're happy.
Mm-hmm.
But I could say the same thing about Charlie because you are family, Jacob. I love you, but I'm not in love with you.
Mm-hmm. Here she's giving him another chance to walk away,
Yeah.
to drop it.
Yep.
She's doing everything she can do. And this is what we as women do. We feel uncomfortable. We've been taught that it's not okay to be uncomfortable. We've been taught that we need to just go along with it. And so she's doing everything she can do to get him to be okay with this, even though it's not her responsibility.
Right. And the only thing that he takes from her statement is, but you do want me around.
Oh my gosh.
And so I'll stick around. And she says, do you think that you could behave yourself a little better at least? And he's like, nope. You decide, Bella. You can either have me and I'm going to be horrible to you, or we can just not be friends at all.
Okay, goodbye.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's like, that's mean. And he goes, so are you.
No.
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 Rejection does not equal meanness.
No.
They're not the same thing. Just because somebody rejects you doesn't mean that they are a mean person. It means that they are being true to themselves. I mean, he literally wants her to just give up her own mind and thoughts and desires to be with him.
Mm-hmm.
That's gross.
So gross.
It's disgusting. And then the next little paragraph, all the way to the end of that page, gone. Goodbye. Bella says things about herself that are stupid and not necessarily, and she's been taught this, and it's erased from my book.
Mm-hmm. He tells her that he says, I forgive you. Just try not to get too mad because I'm not giving up.
Wrong strategy.
And there's something irresistible about a lost cause.
No. No. Somebody says we're not a relationship, we're not together. You do not keep pursuing.
Mm-mm.
Stop pursuing. It's hard. I get it. It's hard. You don't want to stop pursuing, but you've got to.
Mm-hmm. Bella, again, I love him, Jacob. He's my whole life.
And then Jacob goes, you love me too.
She goes, not in the same way.
I know, he goes,
Oh, he says not the same way, I know.
I
But
know.
he's not your whole life either. She says, you're impossible. And then he grabs her face and he holds her chin in his hand so firmly that she can't move.
Yeah, she
her
is
face.
being physically restrained.
And he says, until your heart stops beating, Bella, I'll be here fighting. Don't forget you have options.
And she says very clearly, I don't want options.
Mm-hmm.
And then she tries to yank her chin away. Imagine how hard he has to be holding onto her chin. Where is he holding? Like, he's holding onto her chin so hard that she can't yank her chin away.
Mm-hmm. Too tight that it hurt, she says.
Till it hurt, and I saw the resolve form abruptly in his eyes. Think of this. This is where the terror starts. Where she sees that no matter what she does, he is going to have his way with her.
Yeah.
I'm sick to my stomach. And then she starts saying the word no. And she gets the no out, and he assaults her.
Yeah. I just circled this whole paragraph because it describes a very aggressive kiss, but it's not a kiss, it's just assault.
Yeah, it literally sexual assault. He uses the words, he kissed me angrily, roughly, his other hand gripping tight around the back of my neck, making escape impossible. She could not get away from this.
No, she's trying, she's pushing. He just feels her touching him, and so he's like, oh, she likes this.
No.
She finally grabs at his face, and finally now he notices. But he doesn't stop.
No, his lips forced hers open. It says that his lips forced mine open, and I could feel his hot breath in my mouth. This is disgusting. This has gone beyond a simple, like, oh, I didn't know you didn't want to kiss me. He is purposefully and forcefully assaulting her.
Yeah. She says she acts on instinct, and she just stops fighting, puts her arms down, and waits for him to stop.
Okay, so I want to say something to you guys. There are a lot of people who are like, well, if I was being kissed like that and I didn't want it, I would fight back. Or I should have fought back harder, is what a lot of people say. But guess what? Sometimes you can't, and you don't, and it's not your fault. It doesn't mean you didn't try hard enough, and it doesn't mean you should have done something different.
And it doesn't mean that you liked it.
Exactly. It means that they assaulted you.
Yes.
Against your will.
And regardless of the physical things that your body is doing during this time, doesn't matter.
Right.
Your body does things whether you want it to or not.
So Bella's response after trying and trying for many seconds to push him away and get him to stop was to completely hold still. And this is something that happens to people a lot. Is that there's nothing else you can do, and so you just freeze and you stay still and you let it happen because there's nothing you can do.
Yeah. And that's fine. That's a survival technique.
Yep.
And if that's going to get you out of the situation, do it.
And for Bella, it does work. The second, her body is just like, well, I don't know what else to do, so I'm just going to completely hold still. He thinks that she's done or whatever, and so he stops kissing her.
He stops kissing her, but then he looks at her and keeps going. He kisses her 3 more times.
Disgusting.
And she just is like, well, I'm going to be a statue now. Call me a Cullen, because I'm not moving.
This is the only thing she could possibly have done.
Yeah. Finally, he let go of my face and leaned away. Finally, oh my gosh.
Sorry. It's too serious for me. Too serious for too long.
Yeah. Finally, he let go of my face and leaned away, and she says, are you done now? And she should really be calling Charlie and pressing charges because this is no good. He says yes and smiles about it, which is gross.
Disgusting.
She then looks at him. He's closed his eyes, so she punches him right in the mouth.
As hard as she possibly can.
And of course,
breaks her hand.
Her hand breaks because Jacob is hard as a rock.
He's a monster.
Ow, ow, she screams. She can feel that she broke it, and Jacob's just staring at her so confused, like, are you all right? And she's like, no, you broke my hand. And he's like, no, you broke your hand.
Oh, okay. Where do we put the blame? On the victim?
No.
Jacob.
Jacob, you broke her hand.
Yeah.
And her trust.
Yes.
And her feelings. Ugh.
She says, "Don't touch me."
Uh-huh.
What does he do?
Touches her.
Grabs her.
Immediately. He's like, "Oh, I'll go get my car." And she's like, "No, I'd rather walk because guess what? I just have to get away from you and Alice will be able to see me and she'll send someone to come pick me up." He's like, "No, just let me drive you home." And he puts his arm around her waist.
I know.
And again, she gets away from him.
Yeah, it isn't like she, like, very gently tries to, like, oh, I'm gonna, like, because there have been a few times where she's like, I'm gonna be nice to him and let him down easy by holding his hand so that he'll stop touching my face. No, she jerks away from him.
And she's like, "Okay, yeah, take me home because I would love to see what Edward is gonna do to you. I hope he snaps your neck." Yes, Bella, thank you. Jacob just rolls his eyes and helps her in the car. And he's just whistling. He thinks nothing is wrong. He didn't even ask Bella why she punched him.
No, he's like...
He doesn't connect
he's
whatsoever.
Like, that was awesome. I totally finally scored a kiss. No.
She asks him, "Didn't I hurt you at all?" And he's like, "Are you kidding? If you hadn't started screaming, I might not have figured out that you were trying to punch me." And she just says, "I hate you, Jacob Black." And of course, he has to make it a positive, and he goes, "Hate is a passionate emotion."
Stop.
That's also what I wrote. Stop.
I wrote, look how many times I wrote stop in the next 2 pages. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I just crossed out this whole page. And she goes, "Oh yeah, I'll give you passionate murder, the ultimate crime of passion."
Oh,
and
yay!
Killer Bella is back.
I love a murderous Bella.
I
So does Edward.
Yeah, he does.
He loves it.
Yeah. And he's just like, "Oh, you're just mad. I don't have any experience with this kind of thing, but I thought it was pretty incredible myself."
No. Guess what? Non-consensual kissing cannot be incredible unless you're a rapist. That's my statement.
I agree with it. I just wrote delusional much. I literally crossed out this entire next page. 333, you're out.
I wrote stop on a lot, and then when he says, "That wasn't my fault, you should have known better." No, it was your fault.
Yeah, she should have known better than to try and protect herself.
Yeah, she goes, "I don't want to be happy with anyone but him." All right, let's skip this page.
Fine. She says, "Just take me home." And he's like, "Well, just think about it." And she says, "No." And he's like, "But you will tonight. You're going to think about me and your options."
Stop.
And she's like, "Yeah, a nightmare, maybe."
Yeah.
He just grins at her again. "You kissed me back." And she gets so mad that she clenches her hands together and then it hurts because her hand is broken. And he's like, "What's going on? What's the matter? Is everything okay?" And she's like, "No, I did not." He's like, "I think I can tell the difference." "Are you sure about that?" If it's not an enthusiastic yes, it's a no, Jacob Black. That was not kissing back. I was trying to get you the hell off of me, you idiot. And guess what Jacob does?
Well, he laughs. He laughs and he calls her touchy.
And overly defensive.
So he is not only denying that he sexually assaulted her, but he is trying to diminish her feelings about it. He's trying to call her a liar.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if men did that?
Ah, they do.
Oh.
I don't know a single person who is alive who doesn't have a story similar to this.
I know, I do.
Like,
I have 2 stories like this.
Yeah.
That I can think of off the top of my head, probably more.
Right?
I thought about my 2 stories and I thought about sharing them, but then I was just like, this is enough.
Yeah, for real. Bella decides to take just a deep breath and not argue with him anymore because he obviously doesn't get it. What the fuck? Everything sucks. And then he's like, "Well, I'm really sorry about your hand, but next time you want to hit me, use a bat or a crowbar, okay?" And she's like, "Okay. Thanks for the tip."
Yep.
Just then she realizes that he's taken her to her house and not to Edward's house. And she's like, why am I here? And he's like, because you said to take you home. She's like, yeah, but a doctor doesn't live here, idiot. And he's like, oh, well, I'll take you to the hospital, or Charlie can. And she's like, nope, just leave. Bye forever.
Also, though, she says that she doesn't want to go to the hospital because it's embarrassing and unnecessary.
Bella, your hand is
Bella,
broken,
you
honey.
have a break of a bone.
That doesn't just heal by itself.
You gotta go.
Bella says, I'm going to get some ice on my hand, and then I'm going to call Edward and tell him to come and get me and take me to Carlisle so he can fix my hand. Then, if you're still here, I am going to hunt up a crowbar. Finally, he doesn't have a response to that, doesn't laugh at her. And this is where we get into the hardest part for me to talk about, because
Me too.
my baby is being bad.
Yes.
So
Charlie goes, hey kids, nice to see you here, Jake. And I had forgotten the way that Charlie reacts in this story. And so I initially wrote, how would Charlie feel if he knew that Jake had assaulted Bella?
Mm-hmm.
Well, guess what? We get to find out real soon.
Yep. Bella just walks past, doesn't say anything, goes to the kitchen, and so Charlie asks Jake what's wrong with her. And Jake says, well, she thinks she broke her hand. And Charlie's like, well, how did she do that? And Jacob just laughs, she hit me. And Charlie's like, ah, ha, 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 ha. Which, already not great, but
right, like
whatever.
He doesn't know.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, they must have been playing, or she must have been mad about something stupid and hit him and got hurt. And then he goes, well, why did she hit you? And then Jacob goes, because I kissed her. And then Charlie goes,
good for you, kid.
no, every man in Bella's human life sucks. Right
Even
now.
the chief.
Even the chief.
The chief has gone dark.
I will never defend this kind of behavior.
Nope.
The chief is on my shit list right now. He's number 1. No, 2.
Number 2. Bella's just so mad, getting her ice, calling Edward. She dials his number, and before the first ring even goes through, he's like, Bella?
And he's driving.
Yeah. And she can hear the Volvo going. And Edward, you guys.
Edward.
He goes, I'm sorry you left the phone. Did Jacob drive you home? And she goes, yes. Will you come get me, please? And he's like, I'm already halfway there, but what's wrong? And she goes, well, I want Carlisle to look at my hand. I think it's broken. And Charlie and Jake stopped talking, and so she's like, I wonder how long it'll take for Jacob to leave, because now he knows that Edward's on his way. And Edward goes, what happened? And she says, I punched Jacob, I admitted. He says, good. But I'm sorry you're hurt.
Yeah, here's the thing, he immediately is like, this is not a joke.
No.
So he's like, good, and then it says, Edward said, bleakly.
Mm-hmm.
He's not making this a joke. He's taking this super seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, I'm so sorry you got hurt.
Yeah.
Instead of being mad at her, which he probably would have done a while ago, he's like, oh my gosh, are you okay?
Mm-hmm. She just says, I wish I'd hurt him. I didn't do any damage at all. And he goes, I can fix that. And I just wrote, yes.
Yes.
Please, Edward, please, hurry. Bella responds, I was hoping you would say that. And now Edward knows that something is really, really wrong.
Yeah.
And he just says, well, what did he do? And she says, he kissed me. And all Bella hears is vroom.
She hears the Volvo accelerating.
Yep. And then Charlie's like, maybe you should leave, Jake. And Jake's like, nah, I'm fine. And Charlie's just like, your funeral.
Yeah.
Edward asks if the dog is still there. She says yes. He's around the corner. And she hangs up the phone and she hears the brakes screech out into the driveway. She walks to go get the door. Charlie asks how her hand is, and she just says it's swelling. And he says, maybe you should pick on people your own size.
That sounds like victim blaming.
Yeah, maybe you should assault people your own size. Don't assault people, actually. She says maybe, but she doesn't care about this conversation. She goes and opens the door. Edward's already there. He looks at her hand, and she says, he examined my hand gently, so carefully that it caused me no pain at all. His hands were almost as cold as the ice, and they felt good against my skin.
Yep, and he's like, I think you're right about the break. I'm proud of you. You must have put some force behind this.
Mm-hmm.
He loves a murderous Bella so much.
She's like, as much as I have, but not enough apparently. And so he kisses her hand and he's just like, I'll take care of it. And he's like, yo, Jacob, come over here. I got something to talk to you about, sir. And Charlie's like, nobody fighting. Okay, I'll go put on my badge.
Charles.
Where was your badge an hour ago?
Charles W. Swan. Your daughter was sexually assaulted.
Mm-hmm.
Shape up.
Mm-hmm. That just like adds another layer. If Charlie is the chief of police and he doesn't think this is a problem, then how many things like this have been reported and Charlie was just like, they're just kids, it's fine.
Or like what happens if he gets called to a domestic violence call and he shows up at the house and the man is Charlie's friend and the man is like, oh, we just got in a little fight, you know how it is, I just, she's just overreacting. And Charlie's like, yeah, you know what, honey, you need to calm down. I don't want to have any more of these calls. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that literally happens.
Every single day, all day long.
Every day.
And this is why we need to abolish the police.
Girl.
I'll say it.
I got your back.
Afraid.
I gotcha.
Because cops don't need to be handling situations like this. Especially when they have biases and they're untrained.
Yep.
So... Edward just says that won't be necessary, and Bella's like, why don't you arrest me, Dad? I'm the one throwing punches. And he's like, well, do you want to press charges, Jake? And Jake's like, no, I'll take the trade any day.
Yeah, I'll sexually assault her any day to get my kicks.
Edward grimaced.
Think of what Edward is thinking in his head, what he knows Jacob is thinking about.
Mm-hmm.
And how he knows that Charlie is thinking, and he knows that what these men are thinking about his love of his life.
Mm-hmm.
Edward's never going to be able to trust these people again.
No. Mm-mm.
Wow. I never thought about that before.
Yeah. Bella asks Charlie for a baseball bat because she needs to borrow it for a second. And Charlie just says, enough, Bella. But no, keep going.
Charlie is telling Bella to stop. That's what I'm saying. Like, he's telling her to not overreact.
Yep. Edward's like, let's go have Carlisle look at your hand before anyone winds up in jail. So they start to leave, and then she hears Charlie whispering something, and Jake's like, hold on, Charlie, just a second, and he follows them outside. And Edward ignores him. He helps Bella get in the car, shuts the door, and then turns around and looks at Jacob. Jake's just standing there, whatever, and Edward doesn't get loud, doesn't try to intimidate him, doesn't throw a punch. He very quietly says to Jacob, I'm not going to kill you now because it would upset Bella. And Bella's like, I don't know about that. And he's like, it would bother you in the morning. Turns back to Jacob and says, but if you ever bring her back damaged again, I don't care whose fault it is. I don't care if she trips or a meteor hits her head. If you return her in less than perfect condition, you're going to be running with 3 legs. I will rip one of your arms off. And that's a promise, Jacob Black.
I love it.
Yep. And if you ever kiss her again, I will break your jaw for her.
I love Edward.
Me too.
Team Edward.
Forever.
100%.
And always. And Jacob's like, well, yeah, what if she wants me to? And Edward's like, then that's fine. But you might want to wait for her to say yes before you just jump to conclusions of whatever you think you're reading on her body language.
But it's your face. That's what he says.
Yeah. And Jacob just grins and Bella's like, you wish. And Edward's like, yeah, he does.
Ugh, gross. Poor Edward.
And then Jacob has the audacity to say, well, if you're done rummaging through my head, why don't you go take care of her hand? Now you care?
Mm-hmm.
But no.
Edward
has one more thing. I'm not taking anything for granted, and I'll be fighting twice as hard as you will.
Wow.
She is mine, he says. I didn't say I would fight fair. Edward's gonna give her the D.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man, I wish.
Right?
Tonight. This night.
Right
this
now in
page.
the car in front of Jacob.
I just had so many, fantasies go through my head. I'm sorry, guys.
And then Jacob's like, I hope your hand feels better soon. I'm really sorry you're hurt. Lies. And then then Edward gets back in the car, asks her how she's feeling. She says irritated. It's like, yes, but your hand. And she's like, it hurts, but I've had worse.
Yes, that's true.
And then they leave.
But you know, Bella gets a really nice surprise as soon as she gets to Edward's house.
She does. Edward drives straight into the garage where Emmett and Rosalie are.
They're doing a weird thing, to be honest. Listen to this. First of all, they get in, and the very, very first thing that Bella notices...
Rosalie's perfect legs.
And listen to what these legs are doing.
Even in sheathed jeans.
Ahem. Even if in sheathed jeans, I can't. This is the weirdest.
This is the gayest thing Bella's ever thought.
It's super beautifully gay of Bella to think this, but also like, this looks like Emmett and Rosalie are fixing a car, but I don't think that's what's happening. Listen to this.
Oh, okay.
Rosalie's perfect legs, recognizable, even sheathed in jeans, were sticking out from under the bottom of Emmett's huge Jeep. Emmett was sitting beside her. One hand reached under the Jeep toward her. It took me a moment to realize that he was acting as the jack. So is that what the kids are calling it these days?
I guess.
Okay.
Want to go for a jack under the car?
Listen, they never have to sleep. They don't have real jobs. These people have all the money they need in the world, and they're vampires. They have to try something new every once in a while.
Do you think they were in the middle of it when they heard Edward pulling up and they're like,
absolutely.
You stay under there, put your jeans on, I'll just sit here and smile.
I'm going to pretend like I was holding the truck up to get it off of you. I don't know. Let's just stay. Absolutely. I guarantee something really weird was happening in that garage, and I'm here for it.
I love those two.
Big fan.
Totally.
I love it so much.
And of course, Emmett watches Edward help Bella out of the car, and she's like holding her hand really close to her chest, and he's just like, hand broken. Bella, did you fall down again? And she's like, no, I punched a werewolf in the face. And this is the best thing Emmett has ever heard in his entire life. This is the moment, Bella doesn't know it, but this is the moment when they become best friends.
Yes, it is.
As Bella and Edward head into the house, Rosalie just says to Emmett, Jasper's gonna win the bet. And Emmett stops laughing and he's just like staring at Bella. And Bella's like, what bet? And Edward's like, no, let's go see Carlisle. And she's like, no, Edward, what bet? And Edward's just like, thanks, Rosalie, and walks inside, and he's like, it's infantile, but Emmett and Jasper like to gamble. And she's like, if you don't tell me, I'm gonna go ask Emmett right now. And he's like, ugh. Well, they're betting on how many times you mess up in the first year. And she's like, they're betting on how many people I'll kill? And he's like, yeah.
Oh, God.
Pretty much, yes. Rosalie thinks your temper will turn the odds in Jasper's favor, and she's like, I felt a little high.
Rosalie thinks I'm dangerous?
So Jasper's betting high then.
Oh. Huh.
All right.
What are you guys doing under the truck there?
Room for one more? Edward tries to explain it away, saying, well, he's tired of being the weakest link. And she's like, yeah, I guess I could throw in a few extra homicides if it'll make Jasper happy. Why not?
Oh my gosh.
And Edward's just like, you're crazy, don't worry. You don't have to worry about it now or ever if you don't want.
Oh, Edward.
Just throwing it out there. They go, Carlisle looks at her hand. It is in fact broken, but that's all. Just one little knuckle broke. And Bella's like, I don't want to cast. And Carlisle's like, okay, but you have to wear the brace. Promise me now, Bella. And she's like, okay, I promise.
I promise. And
Shirt up.
immediately takes it off and throws it under the bed.
She would. while she's sitting there, she's wondering what Emma and Jasper could possibly be betting for, because they have literally everything. Like, is it a dare kind of bet where they're gonna make the loser like do something fun?
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
What could they possibly have to wager?
A new island.
I guess, but they could just go get one.
They could just go create one.
They really could. Why not? They could just do the under part of an island, really.
Yeah, you don't have to, like,
they don't
be
need to
on top.
breathe. Bella says, I've always known that I would be different. I hoped that I would be as strong as Edward and beautiful. But I've been trying not to think too much about the other things, like how wild I'll be and bloodthirsty. But really, I can handle it all because I trust Edward and he is not going to let me do anything that I would regret. Yeah,
this is the kind of self-control that Bella has when she becomes a vampire, and it's because she's able to have these kind of, like, preparations in her head.
Mm-hmm. And she goes, I would do whatever it took to be a good person. Because if I was really somehow so crazy like everyone thinks, how could I be me anymore? If all I wanted was to kill people, what would happen to the things that I wanted now? And she's like, as long as I have to be with Edward, that's all that matters. But what if there is something else that I want before I get turned into a vampire?
I mean,
would that change? Would I be as thirsty as I am now after I become a vampire?
Listen, I totally understand this fear. It's very real to me too, Bella.
Was there a human experience that I was not willing to give up? End of chapter.
You know what? Fuck Jacob Black, okay?
For real.
I am so disgusted and so angry. Edward should kill him.
Mm-hmm.
And listen to me. Do not ever come to me again and tell me that you are Team Jacob.
Yep.
Goodbye.
Done. I really do wish Edward would have punched him in the face.
Me too.
He deserved it.
He did.
It would have made Edward feel so good. And it would make Bella feel good.
Well,
in a moment.
Bella. She can't. She just can't.
She really can't.
But man, I am so mad at Jacob Black. I'm more angry than I've ever been at him. I just think I've always kind of just glossed over this because it was uncomfortable and I didn't realize what a big deal it was and
me too.
How awful he was being.
Yeah, it was a lot harder to read this time now that we're actually like somewhat analyzing what's happening instead of just like reading past things. It was really, really hard, and I was obviously I immediately like took pictures of all my notes and sent them to you, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is awful.
I sent back exactly the same pictures of my notes that looked exactly the same as Emily's. And then she made a video where she like flipped through the pages and then zeroed in on Charlie being an a-hole. And I didn't watch her whole video. I just like glanced that she made a video, and so I made my own and zeroed in on exactly the same spot. It's just like, we agree, this sucks.
Yep.
These men are terrible, and Edward is taking this with so much strength and grace, and he's being so strong to not completely just react to this.
Being so respectful of Bella and what he, she's told him that she wants.
Well, and he's even like strong enough to be like, you know what, Jacob Black, sure, if she ever does say that she wants it, that's fine, but you wait until she says that she wants it.
Yeah.
He's just, oh, you guys.
There's a meme going around, and I'm sure it's old, but it's Edward's face, and he goes, you begged her to kiss you, but she begged me to fuck her, so obviously I'm the better choice.
Yes. She's literally been begging him forever. And see, the difference is he wants it too.
Yep.
He very much wants it. He's just a good little goody two-shoes boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a sweetie baby.
He's a Molly Mormon.
It's not his fault.
It's not. But
Bella will
he
train
wants
him
it.
right out of it. Don't worry, guys.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
So this week we are covering another section of Bree Tanner for you guys in a separate episode that is out right now. Go listen to it. It will be covering pages 52 through...
Wait, did we already do the second?
No, we didn't.
It's 25 through 51.
25 through 51. So if you're reading along, read those first. Otherwise, we're going to cover the whole thing for you, and we'll see you in that episode over there.
Yes, and thank you for listening to this chapter of Eclipse. And remember,
don't assault people.
Okay, love you guys. Bye. Man, do I agree with that.